Question. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, this goes back to the COVID era. I was very unhappy with what happened with the churches being closed. How would you guys handle it?
Mr. Radonovich?
I would have let the churches stay open. The idea that you can maintain
Can you repeat the
distance and
question,
still have a
please?
church service.
Yeah.
Well, say again. Oh, yeah, how
We
would
didn't get a
you,
question.
if COVID were to happen again, how would you as a state legislator handle the issue? And would you close churches? And my answer is no, I would not close churches. You can, churches that I know of still maintain their services. They did so, they maintained distance as was suggested, but they still have their services. The idea, there's a real effort by the part of evil ones, people that are motivated by evil to shut down churches and keep people from worshiping God and acknowledging God and bringing God into a situation. And that's really what motivated, I think, the state. You can have churches open during a pandemic, do spacing, I think that's fine. But the way that they cracked down on things was just a horrible injustice to people in the faith community. I would not allow that to happen.
Thank you, sir.
It was absolutely horrible. It was absolutely horrible what they were doing in the state and the government putting its hand on that. And I actually fought back as chair for the Valley Young Republicans and as vice chair for the state. We highlighted the government created essential and non-essential. They could say you're approved and you're not approved. It doesn't fit the Constitution. And that's exactly why Pastor Jack Hibbs won the lawsuit. He won because he did the right thing. We just need more people to stand up and keep doing the right thing and showing them. We need people to stop being afraid, because there is a big group out there of silent individuals who just want to go home, who just want to see their family, who just want to go to work, maybe drink a beer and watch a football game. But we need them to step up, because California cannot be complacent anymore. We need them to show up. We need them to be in Sacramento. We're tired of this. We're tired of rolling blackouts. We're tired of policies of scarcity. We're tired of the government stepping on people, stepping on churches, and stepping on our First Amendment rights. It's time to challenge that, and we've done it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pastor, how are you doing?
Very good. Thank you.
Please state your question loudly.
Traditionally, conservatism was for limited government. Ronald Reagan said, well, you don't want to hear when someone knocks on your doors. I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. How can the government restore families? It seems that's the church's role. It's the father's role. It's the mother's role. Isn't government out of their lane to restore families?
The government, yeah, I get what you're saying. I think it's up to our communities to come together and figure out how to reduce the abuse of children in our society. The best thing that you can do to put families back together is to reunite children with their parents. Studies have shown that children that come from dysfunctional homes end up living 20 years less than the general population. They end up filling up our prisons. They end up being our mass murderers. They're responsible for the degradation of education in our society. My goal will be to get the health departments to work with communities to establish procedures in the community to reduce adverse childhood experiences, bad things that happen to kids. It's not forcing anybody to do anything. It's much like when I talk to health, I need a little more time to explain this. When I talk to health officials about this program, because I don't intend to spend money on this thing, any more money that's already being spent, or but I've been told that we already have the manpower out there to reduce homelessness and all this stuff. We also have the money out there to do it. What I'm providing is a recipe. It's explained to me that it's kind of like from the health experts that they have the ingredients. All they need is a recipe. All they need is direction for the public to be able to say this is a priority for us as a culture. What I also intend to do is work and replace DEI with a mandate for communities to come together and find out how can we attack this problem of adverse childhood experiences. Because once you do that, you rebuild the family. It's gonna take some working out. I don't have all the answers. My goal is to put a bill together and come back to you and say, what do you think of this? How do we make it work? But we have to find some way to establish a priority, not government, but in our state, that we value children and the relationship that they have with their biological parents. And we are dedicated to strengthening that. Because once you do that, you put families back together and you heal the land. So,
In other words, standing up for parental rights statewide.
oh my God, yes, absolutely, yes. And it's what this legislation would do, or this thought, is to focus on what a child needs instead of what a parent wants to do. That's been the real problem, I think, in our culture, is that it's what a child needs, and they need their biological parents.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Tagiba.
Well, actually, I believe that the government needs to remove itself in a lot of these areas, and I don't believe in more government regulations to tell people. Because when we open the door for government regulations, when we're not in charge, the other side has the same right to do so. When I was in Iowa and I was talking to the governor of Iowa and to the governor of New Hampshire, the governor of New Hampshire told me, in New Hampshire, we have 400 representatives. In California, we have 80 in the Assembly and 40 in the Senate. New Hampshire has less people than Fresno County and Madera County and Tulare County combined. And they have more representation than we do. Every 5,000 people has a local representative. This district is 500,000 people. We have to dial it back down. I'm more than happy to run a ballot initiative to actually take away power and to reduce the power. Because in 20 years, what I want to do, I want to be a high school football coach, I want to do the radio for Fresno State, and I want to go and enjoy my life by getting government out of it. That is what I'm focused on doing, is removing that, not passing more legislation. And I do think I know something about adverse child experiences. My father was in the Navy, as I had stated. My mother was an island girl. Everybody has made those jokes about those Navy guys and that secret family out there. Well, hello, my name's David Tongenbaugh. I am the product of a secret family. I grew up in low-income housing. I grew up in one of the worst areas in California. I saw it every day. I know the solution's there, and it's to give the power back to the local communities. I think Fresno County knows how to take care of itself a whole hell of a lot better than Sacramento knows how to take care of Madera, Mariposa, Mono, Inyo, and everywhere else. Time to get Sacramento out of our lives and to dial it back.
Mr. Hernandez.
I think I'm gonna have to get out because I'm falling asleep over here. My name is Tommy Hernandez, and I am a veteran. And I have children that go to school. And I was working with a radio station that they promote DACA and free education. And it seems to me that this administration is giving money away to people that are not even from this country. They're coming from every other country. And so how are you going to solve that issue about DACA and the education for our children?
We'll start with Mr. Tom.
That's a family.
Perfect, thank you for that. So I understand this issue. Just this Christmas, I gave my mother her green card and I sponsored her citizenship to where she could say, I'm an American. I did it the right way. I got a job and I worked my ass off. That is the way it is supposed to be. And right now, when we're focused on helping all of these different individuals from other countries that get here one way or another, but yet we can't keep the lights on in California. We can't have better education for Californians. We can't even teach our kids to read and comprehend. Our priorities are messed up. We need to take care of us first. You would never clean up somebody else's house if your house is a hoarder home. And that is exactly what we're doing here in California, and we're focused on the wrong things. It's time to dial it back and give back to the community who pays the taxes, who takes care of the community. You can't be the highest tax in the nation and not have the best amenities. I studied abroad in Australia. Australia is the 11th largest economy in the world, and they have better amenities than we do. And yet we pay for all of them. We don't get our just desserts, and it's time to dial that back in and focus. We can take care of immigration when it comes to that. When we get our priorities straight, until we do anything on that end, we need to dial in what California needs to do.
I'm the only candidate that's endorsed Donald Trump for President of the United States.
All right.
I'm the only candidate that supports a border wall, and I'm the only candidate that urges you to vote no on Measure E. I think the immigration situation is a mess, and the idea that we can give health care to illegals right now, when we're facing $60 billion worth of state debt, is laughable. It just is an indication of how bad the leadership is in Sacramento. I will work night and day to reverse that. I don't support DACA, and
Thank you.
to the extent that I'll reach out to Governor Abbott in Texas and say, whatever you can do and whatever you're doing there, help me do it on our southern border, because what they're doing is exactly what we should be doing here. Frankly, I think there may be things that we can do without the help of a Democrat governor like Newsom. But we've got to be imaginative and creative and police the border like the Texans are doing, and that's what I'll pledge to do.
Thank you.
We'll go to Mr. Redondo.
Yes. And this question is a two-parter. Number one, I would like us to change our California Constitution, put sunset, let's say 10 years on every law passed. After 10 years, it's gone. If it's a good law, you renew it. If it's a bad law, you let it die. And number two, for the administrative agencies, I would currently, right now, the Supreme Court, it looks like they're going to overturn the Chevron doctrine. For those of you who don't know what Chevron is, Chevron means that when you go in front of an administrative agency, you have to prove rather than the other way around.
Exactly.
So I'd like to see that reversed on all state agencies and local agencies, that if you have an issue, if a regulation is vague, that the benefit goes to the citizen, not to the government. I think those two reforms would significantly help our state. Leave it to you guys. Thoughts?
Yeah, I just think the real problem that we've let happen has been the creeping threat of taxation and regulation over the last few years. And again, I kind of look at things in the light of good versus an evil and who's winning. You know, when it comes to the state just becoming more and more powerful again, you can't repeal the laws or sunset them. There was wool grower subsidies from World War I in Washington, D.C. that they made to be able to make uniforms for the troops in World War I. It's still being subsidized in Washington. Those are nutty things that should be reviewed and sunsetted, and there should be a vote in the legislature to continue them. But, the fight really is, our government has grown incredibly strong for all the wrong reasons over the last 40, 50 years. And it's going to take people in our faith community, with heart prayer, in the prayer group, and in the prayer closet, and it's gonna take families coming back together so that we can build the momentum to make the changes and increase Republican registration in this state and do exactly what you say.
These people didn't order either, they want to
I
order
just
too.
wanted to talk to you about that. But my entire initiative is to pass laws that make this city make more sense. Whether it's 400 representatives for 40 million people, we can dial it in and we can do some things different. So I'd love to talk to you about that. But not only that, I'd actually like to respond to what stated before. Donald Trump's director of national intelligence has actually endorsed me in this campaign. Not only that, when it comes to, I believe that records matter. And if we go back into the record and the individuals in the voting record before, George Radonovich actually blocked Florida security funding. And we have issues today because of what was done in the past. We have gone through that. Records matter. I guarantee if everybody looks into history, we can find out a new direction and a new game plan. That's what we need to focus on, and trying different things, just like Nikki had stated. More than happy to explore that, talk to individuals who want to pass some of that legislation, and whether it's a sunset clause where if it makes sense, we keep it rolling, and if it doesn't, we keep it going.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my response really is, I have 16 years in Congress where there's thousands of votes, and anybody can go back and pick an issue and manipulate it and twist it backwards. It's laughable to think that I support open borders or allowing this illegal immigration into the United States. I've always been supportive of blocking and stopping illegal immigration. I've endorsed Donald Trump for that reason. I've endorsed the border wall. I will fight to shut that border down. And it's just a diversion by my opponent to avoid the conversation of the fact that he's taxing and spending on Measure E. I think it's naive to assume this guy's got great potential, but he's supporting tax increases, and he's young and impressionable. You should not be sending him to Sacramento with that kind of a record. So that's the real issue.
All right, I think we have Mr. Paulsgrove, who's been waiting a while. For the record, it's Pastor Dennis McCord.
Yeah.
Good now, Mr. Pastor.
I think that's going to kill the second question, is Mr. John has already answered that he does not support Measure E. I've got a question with Measure E. David, you have said that you oppose taxes, but you support this one. Now, in looking at the budget for this, we've got approximately $160 million in stadium modifications, which includes building new skyboxes at Fresno State Stadium, which less than 0.1% of the people that will be affected by this will ever see the inside of it. They've got scholarships that we have no guarantee that they will be used locally.
Exactly.
We have a board, and then you've mentioned in the past that there's local control over this. But from reading today in it, 40% of the committee that's going to be making judgment comes out of Fresno State. So of the other 60%, only one of the three is going to have to take their side. And then we would be turning $1.5 billion of taxpayer money back over to the same people that got Fresno State in the financial predicament that they're in today. Huh? So how can you justify this? I understand that Fresno State, bottom line, I understand that Fresno State's near dear to your heart, but you're being asked to represent the taxpayers of Fresno County plus other counties. How can we trust you that you're not gonna take your heart to mind other than the hearts of every other person out here who's paying taxes for the next, 25, 30 years? My granddaughters may not even see the end of this.
Amen.
It's completely ridiculous. Most of this should be paid by the $12 to $15 billion budget for the CSU system. It should not be the taxpayer's responsibility.
And that's why I'm running for the state assembly, and I'm not running for Measure E. That's exactly where I'm focused, is fighting Sacramento for that. I've proven that I am a fighter. I've proven by the support that I have, that I'm the individual who has the new ideas to challenge them and bring it back. This is my personal, I'm not advocating for anybody else, and I support a whole lot of those who are voting no. I get it, and I understand. But again, my loyalty is where I rely. It's where I personally, to go from, I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college. I'm the first person from my family to get a master's degree. I'm the first person from my island to get any of that.
But how can I trust you to represent me, the taxpayer, me, the voter, when you're proving today that you're putting your support behind what's near and dear to your heart?
You're putting our tax dollars.
You already answered that question.
Even though you support this bill, you're putting our tax dollars on this bill. I don't support this bill.
I get it.
I mean, less than 0.1% if you run the numbers will ever see the inside of one of those skyboxes.
You want me to pay for your personal project?
I don't at all. And that's why it's the same position as the Lincoln Club and why the Lincoln Club is supporting me. The Lincoln Club is no on Measure E, but they support me because I'm not an advocate for Measure E. I'm just, my personal support is different. I haven't stated to anybody else that they need to do anything else. I just look at where I find things that are important. That's what I've worked on.
Here's the thing. how bad does a measure have to be?
We have a moderator.
How bad does a
Respect the
measure have
moderator.
to be for both the Democrats and Republicans to come together to oppose it?
You already have a follow-up, so we're all good.
Thank you. Next one's here, and then over there.